We have here the three forest managers that have been in charge of this tremendous facility for a great many years. First, Goebel, who started it off, Bruner, who picked it up from him, and then Larry Reamer. Here we sit, three eminent forest managers. Been around this place for quite a while. You add up all those years. Marlon, I believe you were here before there was any such thing as a forestry program except extension. Is that right?
That's right. I came here in 1939. Came from Arkansas. And when I came here, I was the only forester on the staff at that time.
That was extension service, is that right?
Extension service, yes.
And then, Norb, when you came, what was that, the botany department? There wasn't any forestry department, was there?
No, there was no forestry department. I was housed in the Department of Botany, Bacteriology, headed by Dr. Armstrong. And I was in the corner office on the second floor of Long Hall, believe it or not.
It's tucked you away in the corner somewhere.
Got me in the corner and I stayed there.
And Norb, I remember well when you came here. You came here from
Duke University.
Duke University.
Yeah, I got my master's at Duke University in 1945. And at that time, Clemson University was looking for a forest manager, and Dr. Korstian, who was the dean of forestry at Duke University, heard about it, and I just graduated that May in '45, and he came with me to see Dr. Poole, and apparently Dr. Poole liked what he heard and saw, so I had a job. And at that time, he said to me, of course, I was supposed to be doing forest research hired by the Forest Experiment Station. And he told me, Goebel, he says, I want you to do on the Clemson Forest what you did at Duke Forest. So that was his command, and I followed it to a T, I thought.
Norb, you had been under Bill Maughan over there, hadn't you? And
yes.
He was
Bill
one
Maughan
of the outstanding foresters at Duke at that time in management.
Well, how did there happen to be a forest management job here with no forestry department?
Well, they originally decided that they'd make a forestry department because they had the land use area to worry about. That was 28,000 some odd acres that had to be managed, and they had to have a forester to manage it. Had to work on a map first before I could do anything.
Do you have a copy of that map?
Yeah.
Well, Larry has a
Yeah,
copy.
we brought a copy of it along. Let's see. First track map drawn of the property. Of course, the LU project consisted of some 213 or
206, I believe, is
206 different parcels of private ownership, and all these things had to be put together into one map to show the exterior boundaries of the property, and this is one of the first things that Norb had to do. Up until that time, I don't think anybody here even knew where the property was,
right,
where the boundaries were. So that was one of his first jobs.
And when did you get in the act?
Well, I started as a student here in 1957, graduated class of '61, June of 1961, and at that time Mr. Bruner needed another assistant, and after looking at several jobs throughout the area, throughout the region, I decided that the best offer I had was here at Clemson.
Lahotsky seems to be the source of a lot of legend around here. So you all remember him well, I presume. Norb, you had some good tales about Lahotsky when he taught the farm forestry.
Oh, I remember one specifically. He had a Ford truck that was, I don't know what you call them now, but they were, there wasn't any windows in the back, you know, just in the back door. And he hauled the students out to the field and that sort of thing. And he used to drive out across 12 Mile Creek Bridge, which was a
rickety thing.
Rickety bridge, to say that, give it in Christian terms, rickety.
I remember that. Had old planks on the bottom.
Planks and the planks, you said that when he used to drive across the bridge, and he used to get on the other side, and he turned around to the back of the boys, well, we made it. Well, we made it. Well, one of these fine days, this red-headed forester from Pennsylvania got together with the rest of the boys, he says, and about that time, he says, when we get across the bridge or going across the bridge, we'll hammer our feet on the floor and pound the sides, and when they get across, we'll say, well, boys, we didn't. And that's the way I remember Lahotsky.
Another one I remember about him was he was driving along, of course, with the boys, taking him out to a field trip, and some good-looking gals were walking along the road there. And the boys, of course, start waving to them and yelling, and he turned around and he says, boys, boys, woods and women don't mix.
Now, you've talked about all this timber cutting you've done all along. Does that mean we have less timber than we did then?
Oh, no, Bing.
No.
For example, we set up something like 200 permanent sample plots, which we measured every 5 years. When I left, I came here in 46. When I left in 71, that's right, we were selling about $80,000 worth of timber a year, and we had the amount of timber on the Clemson forest had more than doubled during that period.
You weren't cutting.
Because we were cutting on the worst first basis.
When I came here, Bing, it was estimated that there was about 36 million board feet of soft timber that the Soil Conservation Service had surveyed. And when he left, it was pretty close to 85 million board feet of soft timber on it. It almost doubled.
Where do we stand now, Larry?
That's up considerably since then. The last inventory showed a little over 160 million board feet on less acres. The first inventory included the acreage that's now in the Hartwell Lake, which was nearly 7,000 acres. But the remaining approximately 18,000 acres has a little over 160 million board feet on it. Last inventory, which was 1987. I've always termed the Clemson Forest as one of the greatest natural resource management projects available around, you know, that someone can really look at and see what man can do by molding and manipulating nature. It started back when the land was termed as totally worthless. Much of it was in receivership by various financial institutions.
Tax delinquent.
Tax delinquent.
Yeah.
Some of it had actually been abandoned. The people had moved off. They couldn't make a living back in the days of 3 cents a pound cotton. And of course, it had been farmed for over 100 years, 150 years, and was badly eroded. And from all that, we have came to a situation where we have for the Piedmont area of South Carolina, we have one of the finest forest properties in the area. So I've always termed it a great natural resource management success.
You fellows have kind of ignored my pet subject, which is the teaching. You brought in all of the multiple use and the recreation, wildlife, timber management, but you kind of bypassed my baby, which is the teaching, of course. I came here as a utility teacher, and that's about all I've done, so I kind of like to re-emphasize that while we have a chance. I'd like to point out that this Goebel Forest has been the greatest teaching laboratory that I think there is in the country. We have a place to take our students to see what they're talking about, particularly our summer camp program, which is, I think, good repute all over the country. We go right out here on this 20,000 acres of forest land and practice instead of just sitting around talking about it. Well, Norb, Marlon, Larry, sure appreciate you coming out. I think this is a great reunion, as I said before, and I know you went to a lot of effort to be here, and we hope it was worth it to you too.